Shadows creep in darkest nights. Fear is rising out of sight. Haunted visions hide and seek. Doug's night terror's gonna freak. Whispers in the chilly air, ghostly faces everywhere. Hold on tight, don't close your eyes. Doug's night terrors full of surprise.
Welcome to Doug's Night Terrors, where I watch horror content before bed. And today I'm just going to do some random searching on YouTube. We're going to try for a short horror film and maybe do some animation horror after that, depending on how long each one of these things is. So first thing I have, I just typed in short horror in YouTube and I came up with Disguise. It's on YouTube. It's Tyler Javkowski.
Pronouncenames.com.
Tchaikovsky.
Disguise. Tyler Tchaikovsky. Jason don't want to deal with this. Nope. You take a ladder or something, you prop it against the door, and you leave. I mean, point it. Point the flashlight. Why you got the flashlight? You ain't even gonna point it before you go up there. Don't even have no shoes on. What the? Why you got that in your attic in the first place? Ugh. Yeah, this is creepy. Did that thing move? Oh, you're looking at that. I'm not scared of that one. I'm scared of the one on the left. Yo. Even though the dummy moved, I'm still scared of the one on the left. Is it going to shut you in? Okay. Ain't nothing okay about this. I would just live up there. That would be my permanent residence from now on. I would never walk down these stairs. Yeah, it's time to go wake up Jason. Or screw it, leave the house and leave Jason to deal with this. Oh! She knocked herself out?
How did you?
Huh?
I took it from you.
What?
I'm taking it back.
Oh. Oh, the sound of the bat. Okay. Okay. That was pretty good. I like the way it was filmed, and didn't really scare me all that much, but it's a nice primer to get me going for whatever else I'm gonna watch. And I think it didn't scare me mostly because the creature at the end, the one that's supposed to scare you, just looked so sad. When she was standing over her with the bat, it just looked so unhappy. Okay, so I need a little more than that tonight. That was cool, but I just went on YouTube and typed in scary. We got some animated horror stories. This one's 3 hours, over 3 hours long. So I think it's 22 different stories. So I'm gonna go with something a little shorter called Wrong Turn. Who is this? Thriller Teller is the name of the YouTube channel. So let's give it a shot. Like it already.
Jenna had always been adventurous, never the one to shy away from a dare or a thrill. So when her friends challenged her to drive alone on the desolate, eerie stretch of highway known as Whispering Hollow Road,
Whispering Hollow Road.
it was a moonless night, and the only light came from the dim glow of her car's headlights, which seemed to slice through the darkness like a fragile lifeline. The dense woods on either side of the road loomed like silent sentinels, their branches reaching out to claw at the car as she sped down the narrow, winding path. The wind whispered through the trees, creating eerie, ghostly sounds that sent shivers down Jenna's spine. As she drove deeper into the heart of Whispering Hollow Road, Jenna's unease grew. The road twisted and turned, seemingly endless, with no signs of civilization in sight. She couldn't help but wonder why this place was so infamous among the locals. The stories she had heard were full of ominous warnings, tales of travelers who had ventured onto this road and had never returned. Suddenly, the radio crackled to life. It had been silent the entire journey, but now it emitted a distorted voice.
What?
Jenna's heart pounded
I have no idea what that just said.
as she tried to make sense of the eerie message. The voice hissed, almost inaudible, but distinct enough to send a chill down her spine.
Yeah.
Her grip on the steering wheel tightened, and she pressed her foot harder on the accelerator. She was determined to prove that she wasn't afraid of a few ghost stories. The road seemed to stretch on forever, and Jenna's nerves were on edge. Shadows danced at the edge of her vision, and strange shapes darted across the road in front of her. She couldn't tell if they were real or figments of her imagination. As Jenna rounded a particularly sharp curve, her headlights illuminated something that made her blood run cold.
What? What?
A pale, ghostly figure standing in the middle of the road. It was a young girl, her long, wet hair clinging to her face. The girl stared at Jenna with hollow, empty eyes, and Jenna could feel a profound sense of dread washing over her. She had heard stories of a ghostly hitchhiker who haunted this road, a tragic spirit seeking a ride
Pick her up.
to final destination.
Where's she going?
Summoning every ounce of courage, Jenna spoke.
Are you okay?
And you're driving forward? Like,
Jenna quickly realized that coming here was a huge mistake. She wanted to get out of here as fast as possible. Suddenly, the radio started crackling again.
look at the road. Oh, shit. That actually got me. As goofy as the thing looks, it actually got me.
1 more mile to go. Then it'll be all over. I'll never have to come back here again.
What the hell is it saying?
Stupid radio. Why is it not turning off? Like many others who took a wrong turn and got lost on Whispering Hollow Road, Jenna sadly never returned back, and no one will ever know what happened to her.
I didn't think that would get me. I'll be honest with you, I was like, whatever. But then, obviously, it made me jump. I do like how how they just took footage of driving down a dirt road and like cartoonified it. This is actual footage, and then they just
Never
which I liked how they did that. Actually, that part, the part where they're driving, was good enough to get you in that scared mood. When the thing first shows up, though, yeah, like it's a cartoon, but the scare actually got me. So that was good. All right, we're gonna try one more. I'm gonna go back to that 3-hour one here. that says 22 true horror stories animated. We'll see. I mean, it's 3 hours long, so I don't know how long each one of them is, but I just got scared by a cartoon. So I wasn't sure about doing animated stuff because it's hard to like get scared with animated stuff, or at least it is for me, but that one got me. So let's keep going. Okay. So just to shout out the YouTube channel here, it's SSG Animations.
My name is Brandon White, and I used to get food from the McDonald's restaurant close to my house every day.
Yep.
A couple of months ago, I walked in to get something and was attended by a new female employee named Mary.
Mary's got some nose.
Short brown hair and was slightly overweight. While I waited for my order, she tried to get to know me, making small talk. I didn't mind at the time. She seemed nice, and there was nothing odd about our conversation. After giving me my sandwich, I left, not knowing that visiting McDonald's that day would lead to my biggest mistake ever. The next few days after meeting her weren't that different from the first. But as more days went by, I began to notice something strange about Mary. For starters, Mary was always the one taking my orders. This was unusual for McDonald's. To make things worse, the conversations she tried to have with me only became weirder and left me uncomfortable in most situations. She would say strange things like how I looked so sexy and tasty.
I mean, that's not that strange. She's trying to get it in.
Was older than me and didn't strike me as that sort of person in any way. Eventually, I began visiting another McDonald's far away from my house, deciding against reporting Mary and getting her fired. A couple of weeks went by, and
Why would you?
walked into the new McDonald's and saw Mary working at the counter. I was shocked and expected her to tell me if she was filling in for someone, but instead, Mary acted as if she'd never left the old McDonald's and didn't address the situation at all. She resumed her usual attempts at small talk and disturbing remarks, but I simply ignored everything she said, got my order, and left. I decided not to go to McDonald's for a while, and only had it when a few friends placed orders at their apartments. I didn't know if Mary still worked there, but I wasn't eager to find out. One afternoon, while walking home after getting groceries, someone suddenly bumped into me out of nowhere.
It's Mary.
Groceries failed. I bent over to pick them up, and the woman who had bumped into me began apologizing as she joined me to pick up the groceries. When I looked up to thank her,
It was Mary.
standing in front of me. I remained in silence as my mind raced. Was this woman stalking me, or was this just a coincidence? After standing there in silence, Mary finally said, "Well, young man, I'm in a hurry, so sorry about that," and left, acting like she didn't know who I was. I brushed it off again as a coincidence and walked home. As I got home, I realized my house keys weren't on me, but I was in a hurry and figured I had probably left without them. So I quickly got my spare key from under the mat, dropped my groceries inside, and left to meet up with my colleagues. My coworkers and I spent a couple of hours getting drunk and playing games on our day off. I left and headed home. But as I opened my door, something about it felt different. That feeling you get when someone else has been in your home was everywhere. But I was wasted, and all I wanted to do was take a shower. So I quickly looked around and headed to the bathroom. Later that night, I was alone in my living room watching HBO when my phone rang. I was curious about who could be calling me so late at night, so I answered with a simple, "Hello?" There wasn't a voice on the other end, but I could hear someone breathing heavily for about a minute before finally hearing a whispery voice say, "Come upstairs." I ended the call immediately, assuming it was
Breathing heavy. With that nose, Mary breathes heavy.
efforts. I couldn't stop thinking about it and how I felt someone was in my home earlier that day. About 3 minutes later, my phone rang again, and it was the same number. I simply ignored it and tried to focus on something else. That's when I heard a noise coming from upstairs. I quickly switched off the TV and decided to listen more closely to make sure I wasn't hearing things. Sure enough, I heard a loud noise from upstairs, followed by another, and soon enough, I could tell they were footsteps, and someone was actually in my home. I quickly grabbed my phone and called the police before heading to the kitchen and grabbing a knife. The house was silent for the next few minutes, so I began to walk up the stairs slowly to make sure there was actually an intruder. As I checked each room one after the other, I began to calm down and question if I heard anything at all. Eventually, there was only one room left to check, and as I opened the door to the guest room, I was filled with a feeling of relief as all I could see was an empty room. And the sense of relief I had just gotten was quickly overcome with fear. As out of the corner of my eye, I could see a figure standing behind the door. Before I could say anything, the person jumped on me, knocking the knife out of my hand and settling on top of me, pinning both my arms under her. In that moment, all I could feel was terror as Mary looked me dead in the eyes before proceeding to grab the knife I had dropped. Mary slowly brought her head closer to me and began to sniff me, like she was taking in deep breaths.
What?
My skin began to crawl, and I began to struggle to get free. But there was no use, as Mary was a lot heavier than I was. She eventually stopped sniffing me and proceeded to say, "Oh, I missed you so much
She eventually stopped sniffing me.
lately. You looked so tasty today. I had to see you. And well, now I have to take a little bite." She smiled and continued, "Now, it'll hurt a little, but I'm sure you don't mind, darling."
What?
We brought down the knife on my hand, taking my...
What the hell? Oh.
I couldn't help but let out a piercing scream. Blood began to spill everywhere, and Mary couldn't hold back her laugh as she threw my finger in her mouth and chewed it down until nothing remained.
Damn, Mary.
At that point, I had begun to close my eyes as I slowly lost consciousness from the pain. That's when Mary said, "No, baby, don't do that. I was just about to have one of your tastier parts." She then proceeded to hold my eyelids open as she
Oh.
the knife slowly towards my eye. Before I could begin to plead with her, police sirens filled the air, and I was immediately...
Who called the cops?
Mary quickly got off me and pointed the knife at me, saying, "No. How did they find out, baby? You didn't call them, did you?" One look at the woman in front of me, and I could tell she was absolutely crazy.
No, you don't think. Really?
Visibly worried, so I decided it was better to play into her game than act out, as I already knew how far she was willing to go. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know it was you waiting for me, so I called them. Just let me go down there and send them away, and I'll be right back." Mary looked at me with what seemed to be relief, and I could tell she truly believed what I had just said. She replied, "All right, honey, be quick now," and lowered the knife, letting me leave. I bolted downstairs with one thing in mind: get as far away from Mary as I could.
Yeah, no.
Stepped out of the house, I was met by a group of officers. They asked if anyone else was in the house before storming in and exiting with Mary in the next few minutes. Mary was taken away in tears as she screamed at me for betraying her and not keeping my word, confirming to the police that she was completely crazy. In the last few days, I've been informed by the authorities that Mary is wanted in several states for multiple counts of rape, assault, and suspicion of cannibalism. I was lucky enough to be the only one of her victims to survive her ordeal. That encounter still keeps me up at night, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about the first time
How?
I in McDonald's. I hope my story has helped you all realize that we really know nothing about the people who serve us and our families at McDonald's. In my case, I met a crazy serial killer who posed as a happy-go-lucky woman, but in your case, it just might be the devil who hands you your Happy Meal with a smile on their face.
Really? That really happened to somebody? They lost their pinky? I don't know why I'm surprised. I know serial killers exist, but for some reason, it's creepy dudes like Jeffrey Dahmer wearing glasses and... Hey, wait a minute. I wear glasses. Anyway, the fact that it's labeled as a true story, I know they could be lying about that, actually creeps me out more. I don't like that at all. That's not good to know. I shouldn't know that. Anyway, all right. I guess it's time for bed. I got a jump scare in there and a true story that's actually going to mess me up. And we'll leave it at that for tonight. I'm going to go make sure my doors are locked. And never eat fast food again.